So you may have seen dogs and cats pressing talking buttons. What about Bunny, Bunny the dog, Bastian the dog, Billy and Russell the cats? And my name's Carmen, and I'm here to tell you that this is also possible for horses. So I gave my horse Lira her first button in April 2021. It was the word scritches. And check out what happened. Hey Lira, do you want some scritches? Good girl. Good girl. There are two things that I think are really important prerequisites for teaching a horse to talk using buttons. One is you have to have a horse who's really friendly, interested in people, listens to people, wants to be with us and know what's going on. The other piece is it helps a lot to have a horse who's target trained. So I did target train Lira, and now she knows that when I present a novel object to her, her first thought is to try to touch it with her nose. And that was really helpful when I introduced the buttons to her. I'm also here to share this information, share my channel, because I don't think there's anything super special about Lira or I. I think lots of people could learn to use buttons with their large animals. I don't have a special degree. I'm not a speech therapist. There's nothing special or significant about me. I've had Lira for 2 years and she's my first horse. I'm not a horse trainer. The other piece is Lira is not a foal. She's a fully grown adult horse. She's 16 years old. So I don't think you have to have a young horse or a special horse or a special gifted human in order to do any of this. So please subscribe to this channel and I'll share more information about how we got here and how you can join along with us. First, some resources. There are tons of resources out there on how to teach dogs and cats to talk. And a lot of this information is really applicable to horses too. So since you're here on YouTube, when you subscribe to my channel, subscribe to the Fluent Pet channel. They sell the little talking buttons, but they have tons of really great tutorial videos on teaching animals to talk. They also have the They Can Talk project at UC San Diego in the Comparative Cognition Lab. And they're gathering data from people all over the globe who are talking with their cats and dogs. And so it's a really cool project and they have a lot of great resources there too. If you like books, the person who started all of this was Christina Hunger, a speech therapist who wrote the book How Stella Learned to Talk. So she taught her dog Stella how to talk using the talking buttons and really laid the foundational groundwork that we're all building off of here today. Last but not least, if you're more interested in the horse stuff, I also have a Words with Horses podcast and a Facebook group where there's a few other people who are also working on this with their horses. So come join along with us. And then if you just like the fun stuff, join me as She Horse on TikTok or Lira Learns on Instagram, and that's where my cute short videos get posted. Last but not least, I want to talk about what this isn't. This isn't like we're going to give buttons to animals and then they're going to start speaking enormous sentences to us. Their vocabulary is going to stay pretty limited, but I think it's still so cool because I've already encountered situations where Lira told me something she couldn't tell me any other way. And that doesn't mean that we need to ignore our animals' body language. I think it's absolutely critical that we learn their body language first, especially because they're not going to be able to say everything they need to say in words, and it's their native language. We owe it to them to learn as much of that as we possibly can as the communication partner with the bigger brain. One more thing this is not Clever Hans. I really appreciate skepticism, and Clever Hans was a horse who could supposedly count, but that's not what Clever Hans was doing. Clever Hans was smart, but he wasn't counting. He would clomp his foot and wait until he got to the right number. And he would know he got the right number because the crowd would go wild. Then they did some studies, and when the crowd didn't know what the right answer was, Clever Hans didn't know the right answer either. So this isn't something where Lira has just been observing me and my cues and communicating just off of some other rote process. Lira has initiated unique communication attempts, and my favorite is one of the first ones is the word mask. The second button I gave her was the word mask, and it was to represent her fly mask. I would put it on her every morning, take it off every evening. It keeps the flies out of her eyes, and she can see through it kind of like a screen door. Well, one day, I knew it was going to be rainy that day in the forecast, so I left the mask in the house. I didn't even bring it out. I went to take care of her, gave her her scritches, we played around a little bit, and then I went to refill her hay net. Lira hung back, and she walked over to the buttons. I couldn't even see her. And then I hear this word behind me in my own voice, mask. She pressed the mask button. And that blew my mind because she was able to tell me about something that was missing. And there are a few different ways to potentially interpret that, but that's not something she could have told me with her body language, that there was a specific part of our routine that was missing, and she was able to tell me about it. So that is the kind of thing that keeps me going. I have many more stories along those lines. So please feel free, subscribe to the channel, and I want to know, what questions do you have about communicating with animals? Go ahead and drop me some comments, and that'll help me build this content going forward.